Yeah. God, I am looking tit heavy right now. Jesus.
Damn, look at those double D's. What's up, motherfucker?
I'm good, man. How are you? How's it going?
I'm good, good, good.
So
So,
the Dark Knight. Do you want to start or should I or
you know what? You start this time.
okay. Phenomenal film. Totally landed on the core of Batman. I think they got that right. The camera work was a little annoying. I mean, I don't know what possessed Christopher Nolan to start making everything spinny. Like the camera would just spin around things. And it just happened so much, I started getting fucking dizzy. And I'm like, what are you doing? And of course, I can't mention the film without giving mad props to Heath Ledger and the phenomenal job he did. He outshone everybody. Um, Maggie Gyllenhaal was a better Rachel than Katie Holmes, even though I will say that the script does not help the character. So they were up against the script. The script was not favorable for Rachel at all. Like they just didn't, like
Yeah,
I didn't really give her much to do. But even with what little she had, I think Maggie did a good job, at least in the very beginning. Um, I don't know. I don't know. Rewatching it, looking back at the things we said about Batman Begins, I think they still nailed this film, man. I don't. I would. There's very little I would change or edit or do differently. Or I mean, if any at all. I'm saying there's very little just to hedge my bet. But what I mean, something tells me you're about to disagree, so go for it.
no, actually, I was going to agree with you. Rachel did feel more like a plot device, especially in The Dark Knight. It just felt like, okay, here's a connect. Like, of course, I'm not the writer, so I'm just, trying to fill in the blanks. It's like, oh, so here's the connection between Bruce Wayne and Two-Face, and let's
Mm,
like basically, no, it just, no. It just felt like she was just, kind of like, I'm gonna do something we did last time, kind of like with the Game of Thrones, the last season,
okay.
how it was like they were trying to get certain points and they
I
kind
don't.
of just,
I don't see that because you can remove Rachel from the story and not have it affect the story. Because here's the thing: you don't need a relationship between Batman and Dent other than Batman sees Dent as the white shiny symbol that will uplift Gotham. And then Dent only needs a loved one that he loses. So you don't necessarily need that link for her to be a plot point. What I will say the script didn't do her justice was because like the script made her personality that of a wet mop. I mean, it's just like, have you ever seen Muddy Concrete? That's what she is. It's bland. It's bleh. I mean, she really shows. I mean, actually, you see, I say that, and then I remember the scene where the Joker crashes the fundraiser, and that gave
yeah.
her an opportunity to do some acting. And now I will say this: the beginning part where she's in it's a courtroom or whatever, and they're walking back, and she's like, "Oh, you're the DA. If people aren't shooting at you, you're not really doing your job or whatever." She had some like pizzazz to her. She was fun and playful, and it wasn't. Katie just read the lines. Katie was just like, "I'm a pretty face. I'm gonna read the lines, and I'm gonna go home and cash the check." Like, I didn't feel like she was acting. And Maggie kind of gave the character like a little swag, like a little, you know.
I don't know. I mean, but here I am, the guy who shat on the last movie. So let me not say anything. I mean, it's your time to shit on someone.
I'm not
But
shitting on her. I'm
wait,
just saying.
I don't know. Like, I don't think Katie did a bad job. Yes, she's different. She's different. I mean, Katie's Katie, Maggie's Maggie. I mean, I think that
A keen
both.
is a keen. Like, what are you getting at here? I don't get it.
I'm just saying. I mean, they're different actresses. They had their own interpretations
Right,
of
but
the
different
role,
actresses
but
playing the same character.
in different movies. Dude, The Dark
Fair,
Knight
fair.
had a okay, so The Dark Knight is see, it's a phenomenal film.
Thank you.
It wasn't
Yes, agreed.
imperfect. It's not imperfect because there's something about the movie where it's bordering on cheese. Like the dialogue is bordering on cheese the whole time. But
Sorry.
but
So before,
no, no,
okay,
but
go for it.
but but there's just something about all the elements, the way they came together. Like it makes for a superior movie compared to to Batman Begins. But when you think about a lot of the lines, if they were removed from that movie and put in another movie, dude, you'd be rolling your eyes.
Okay, see, but that's not fair because they weren't removed from this movie and put in another movie. They were put in this one. That's point number one. And then just before I forget, one line that did make me laugh hysterically, and I wonder how they didn't catch it in all like the script changes and the editing and everything, was when the dude in the courtroom tries to shoot Harvey
Yeah,
Dent and he
yeah.
fails, and then Harvey's
Oh,
like, "Oh, if you want to kill a public servant, buy American." I'm like, are you suggesting he buys American guns because they kill public servants? Like, what are you saying? It's like,
no, he means they don't fail, like they actually
I
work.
know, but I was just like the way he phrased it. If you want to kill a public servant, buy no. Like, if you, she just said if you want a functioning gun, buy American. But he's like, if you want to kill a prosecutor, yeah, buy American. Like, just
There's something
that line flopped.
there's something about like when it's good that you actually brought up it's funny you brought up certain scenes that I wanted to talk about, but okay, let's talk about the courtroom scene where he asked the guy where Harvey Dent asks him a question and he responds. When he responds, it sounds like a question. When he said, "I'm the brains of the organization," like
That
his
sounded like a
inflection
question.
at the end, no, his inflection at the end sounded more like a question.
I'm
Like, I'm
actually,
the brains of,
when before uploading this, I'm going to clip him saying, "Is am I the brains of the operation?" and put it here so people can see the clip with us. I don't think that sounded like a question.
You win, counselor. It was me.
I have a sworn statement from you that this man, Salvatore Maroni, is the new head of the Falcone crime family.
Maroney? He's a fall guy. I'm the brains of the organization.
Order.
Permission to treat the witness as hostile.
Granted.
Hostile? I see you hostile.
Carbon fiber, 28 caliber, made in China. If you want to kill a public servant, Mr. Maroni, I recommend you buy American.
Get him out of here.
yeah, like the first time I watched it and every other time, for some reason, I've always like that part always gets under my skin. Like, why does he sound like he's asking a question in response to a question? But whatever. Then with something I wanted to mention, Maggie's performance when what's his name? Heath Ledger or the Joker was manhandling her
Yeah,
like in the
yeah,
that was great acting because she looked so uncomfortable.
bro. Just first of all, I think I may have the coronavirus because I keep coughing. Second of all, that scene. I mean, my two favorite scenes are that one and then the Joker in the hospital with Dent. Those are my two favorite scenes. And what I love about that scene with the Joker interrupts the fundraiser is the little thing he does. So he comes in and he eats something, and then when he grabs the alcohol, he spills it before miming drinking. And I love that little like I'm not drinking, I'm not drunk, I'm naturally crazy. And I love the way he goes, Miss Dawes or whatever, and then like he does his hair like this, like he's trying to like
Yeah,
clean up
like
for
it's
her. Right? Like it's just like those little things are like that's what made him a phenomenal Joker. The little tongue flick that he kept doing, the and he nailed that role so well. He nailed it so
he did.
well.
He made the movie obviously,
Oh, for sure, for
because
sure.
because Batman seemed like a secondary character in his own movie.
You know what? Because but let's be fair. He's a secondary character in that movie because he was secondary to the Joker. The Joker came in and disrupted everything. They hadn't seen anything like it, and this is my point on it being better than the first film in capturing the core identity of Batman. Is that Batman from the beginning of the film seemed a step ahead, right? So Lau comes in, and then Fox is
Hmm.
all like, "Well, let me get to it." Lau comes in and Fox is all like, look, their books aren't adding up. And he's like, I know. I just needed a closer look at their books. I knew it was all hinky anyway. Right? And then Fox tells him about the sonar thing. And then you later on discover that he was using the sonar technology with every phone in fucking Gotham. And then Fox is all like, oh, this is immoral. I want to crash it. He's like, yeah, once you're done, type your name. It'll crash itself. I already knew that. I just like, he seemed like he knew what was up. And the fact that the Joker was a step ahead doesn't now detract from Bruce Wayne or Batman's intellect or his detective abilities. Is just elevating the intellect of the Joker. And you see, and then having Mike of the butler, Alfred, having Alfred tell him about the story of the dude in the jungle, and he's like, some that people just want to watch the world burn. He's basically telling Batman, like, stop being a detective because you're not going to try to figure out how this dude understands how he thinks. Sorry, because he's not thinking like a normal person. And it's all those little details. It's just like, all right, Batman's a detective, but he's dealing with a new element. He doesn't know how to fuck with the Joker because it's the fucking Joker, and he's an anarchist, and Batman hasn't encountered that. You know what I mean? So to me, it's like, okay, you met the core requirements for what Batman is, world's greatest detective. Check. Now you went in with the Joker, and you created basically a clusterfuck of mind games. Check. So now it's just like, all right, now we're in the, like, honestly, I don't know anything I can fault this film for other than the excessive use of the spinning cameras. It just made me dizzy.
I mean, honestly, I guess there's not much I can, there's certain things I can fault the movie for, but they're not. I can't really say that they were problems with the movie. The only thing that I felt was kind of weird was how it was edited. At certain points, the movie didn't feel like I know it was supposed to be set in a believable universe, but the way people talked wasn't believable. And the editing, no, the way people talked wasn't, no, bro, that that was not
Examples.
believable.
Don't just tell me, oh, they talk weird. What did they say that caught your attention?
Just how
Oh, yeah,
every
just how, yeah, right. No concrete examples is all I'm hearing.
okay, one that comes to mind because I can only paraphrase, but when Harvey Dent is talking about how, Caesar, like talking about Caesar and when certain like during times of
Okay, yeah,
what's the
but that's
word?
normal because here's the thing: you're talking that conversation's happening between Rachel Dawes, Harvey Dent, Batman, and then the ballerina who apparently had like huge tits, and I've never seen a ballerina with big tits, and it confused the shit out of me. It's like, come on, guys, come on.
The point
But
is
here,
that everybody is so wise.
yeah, well, that's the thing because you're talking about the district attorney, the assistant district attorney, a billionaire who
Okay.
went to Princeton, and then the chick who's dating who's a ballerina. I don't know what academic credentials she has, but who knows? Maybe in Russia they just have like a really good educational system. But
I
that's the
mean, they all
thing.
play chess, right?
I mean, maybe I'm not.
Like,
You're the chess dude. I don't know. Like, are you fighting? Are you like gaming against Russians in the chess world? Like,
no, I'm playing. No,
uh,
my favorite. Actually, I shouldn't say anything about that because I don't know. That might be considered. I mean, it might be interpreted differently. But I love playing against Indians because they fucking
kick your
just.
ass.
Oh no, I mean, let's just say they used to kick my ass. Not lately. I haven't. I haven't. My ass hasn't been kicked as often. But it's just fun to play against them.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, like for that scene, they're intelligent because they're meant to be intelligent. You're talking about three of the most influential people in the entire city of Gotham conversing about a famous historical figure. It's not out of the norm, man. Like when you like, dude, can you imagine the conversation Shaw would have with a couple of his buddies if they're talking about mechanics? Sorry, Shaw was one of our professors in college, and he was legitimately a genius. Like he was a very, very bright professor. So that's kind of what was going on there. It's just you had three really smart people talking about smart shit. Like, did they talk abnormally smart when it was just a bunch of goons? Did they talk abnormally smart when it was the gangsters? Was it abnormally smart when they were in the ship and debating whether or not to click the button and blow the other ship up? No, they were talking like normal people. But that scene highlights that, all right, these are not your average Joes. These are smart people, and
Hmm.
this is the way they speak. And he didn't buy any hotels in this film, which was a big plus for me. Like,
Dude, I'd have taken that. No, I'm kidding. Of course, I'm Nigerian, but I'm joking anyway. I would have taken that fucking check, taken his signature, and forged many more, and just withdrawn a bunch of shit from his account. So,
You don't need to
whatever.
steal. You have the Nigerian prince money, man. Like,
If you noticed, it's a scam, bro.
I was being sarcastic, clearly.
I know, but I'm just
Such a
saying.
dick. Yeah, I don't know. I
Well,
mean, there's really not much to say about the film. They really nailed everything. I can't fault it. I can't fault it. I mean, I love that a usual film is like a high and a climax and a decline, like a conflict that's resolved. Here it was just one
yeah.
conflict after the other, but you were on the edge of your seat. It was gripping, so you were never exhausted. It kept making you think because it was always a surprise. There was always a twist. They killed off a character, which, let's be real, how often does that happen? When the damsel's in distress in a superhero film, odds are that damsel gets rescued. But in this scenario, fucking, she blew up.
She was a plot device.
She was not a plot device. She was a necessary character. She's Bruce Wayne's moral compass. Part of the reason he's working towards having Harvey Dent pick up the mantle and be the light for the city is because he wants to put up the cape, hang up the cape, so he can be with her.
I
Right?
know, that's what I'm saying. She was a plot device.
By
Now,
that
okay,
logic,
of
by
course,
that logic, every character is a plot device.
well, no, not when the character is central.
If you
She
remove
wasn't
Rachel,
central. You said it also. She wasn't central to the story. She wasn't like you could
right?
replace her with multiple people or whatever, but it was
Okay, yeah, I
it
did
was
say
a
that. Fair
tidy. It
point.
was it was a tidy. Oh, and I mean, this is not detracting from her. The reason why we brought up the whole thing about her being treated more, or why I brought it up about her being treated more like a plot device, was that she didn't really have anything else going for her. Like there was
Okay,
no
yeah,
time
fair. No,
spent
I see your point.
developing her character. Yeah.
I see your point because, like, if you remove her, the only thing that changes is Batman's less motivated to hang up the cape.
Yeah, she was motivation for what's his name? Bruce Wayne
And then you don't get the whole. Well, you
and
still get the Two-Face
Harvey
thing.
Harvey Dent, yeah. As
Wait,
well.
so one of the scenes that confused me, and I should go back and rewatch it, was the scene where Batman gets the two addresses from the Joker. And Gordon goes, "Where do we go, or where do we go?" And he gives him the address. And every time I watch it, it seems like they're both going to the same location. But I think that's not the case, right? Like the police went to Rachel and didn't get there in time, and he went to Dent.
What happened was that he was going to Rachel,
Who was going to Rachel?
but Batman was going to Rachel.
And where were the cops going?
They were going to Harvey. Like the Joker
Right. So he
swapped
sent.
the
So he.
addresses. He
Oh,
swapped them
okay.
intentionally.
Oh, dude, that's another layer of fucked up. I didn't know. That's awesome. So,
Yeah.
but he was like, "Go here for Rachel," and he goes there for Rachel. He ends up at Dent's.
Yeah. Because because the Joker never intended to kill Harvey.
Right, right. And he knew he would go to Rachel.
Yeah.
So the reason he was ended up at Harvey and the police was ended up at Rachel's and didn't catch her in time because it was supposed to be the reverse.
Yeah,
So
because
it's just
Rachel
the
also thought that Harvey was going to die. We remember when he said something about whatever and that that they're going to come for you or something, and she was like, I know, but I don't want them to. She was referring to Batman
oh,
coming to save her.
man. Oh man, dude, you just like unveiled and like I didn't catch all that shit. Fuck. That's like a much more powerful plot twist now.
Yeah.
Damn. Damn. I also like how the Joker took the criminals and dressed them up like the victims and then made the victims dressed up as like that's such a it's simple, but it's fucking clever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just yeah, he was on another level, man. Like as a character. I mean, like props to the writers on this shit. Props to the people who sat down and were like, you know what? Dude, just the beginning heist where they rob the bank and then he shoots everybody and then ends in the sea of buses in the end. That shit's clever. Like, how many movies have you seen where there's a bank heist and then the way they rob it is just not as clever as what they did there?
I have a hypothesis, but I might be wrong. I know that,
Likely,
some
yeah.
work, as in, I know some work on stories goes uncredited, but the first movie apparently was written by Christopher Nolan and David S. Goya.
Okay,
The second was written by, I think, his brother
okay.
Jonathan, who has actually worked on some really smart stuff, some really smart movies afterwards as well. So I don't recall. Actually, let me pull it
I
up right
think
now.
I think
Check.
David S. Goyer was
Um,
also a writer on the second one.
I think he was, but Jonathan was also a writer on it, but he wasn't credited on the first one. So maybe he didn't write it, maybe he did. I'm not quite sure. But I was wondering why I felt like the script was a little bit superior to it, but let's see. Okay,
Yeah,
so
I mean,
yeah, so the story, hmm. No, it was the screenplay, not the story. The screenplay was written by Jonathan and Christopher.
okay,
And so that was for The Dark Knight. And Batman Begins was written by Christopher Nolan and David. And
okay,
David was the one who wrote the story on Batman Begins. And the second was written by Christopher Nolan and David.
okay.
So maybe that's why it's a little bit different because I mean with Nolan it seems like I might be wrong because I don't know these people anyway, but it seems like with Nolan, he has this thing about incorporating literature in his, like English literature in his movies in some sense.
Okay,
So
I
maybe
see
that's
that.
why, so maybe that's why they spoke a certain way. Like, of
Yeah, but
course,
here's the thing: they never spoke that way in out of place or out of turn. Like, it was always beneficial. It was never detrimental for them to speak the way they spoke.
oh no, 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 it wasn't detrimental. It seemed elevated.
Yeah, in some parts. I mean, when the gangsters are talking, there's no elevation.
Hmm. I'm
So
gonna
it's
have to
like,
spend a lot of time thinking. I don't think we have enough time to think because I'm super slow.
no
Yeah.
comment.
Again, maybe. Fuck you. It, who knows? Maybe in the future, maybe we might revisit this because I mean,
No, I am not.
it's one of my favorites. It's one of my favorites, like V for Vendetta. I've
I mean,
I've
I would
watched it.
revisit this. This is only maybe the third time I'm seeing this, and the second time I didn't get to finish it, and that's God, maybe I shouldn't tell this story, but okay. So the second time, well, maybe it was the third time. Maybe this might be the fourth time I'm watching it. But one of the times where I watched it was remember when I was dating. I shouldn't say her name. I was dating a girl, right? You met her, remember?
Oh, oh,
Yeah.
that sounds so
So
long ago.
so thanks for the subtle jab, asshole. So she was at the time living in Orange County, and I was up in Ventura, right? So when I went to visit her, it was like a big old drive. It was like a big schlep, and I ended up getting like a hotel room there to spend the night, so I wouldn't have to drive back at night.
Okay.
And we were going to the movies to see some one of the Marvel hero films that have come out or whatever. And we were talking about superhero films, and she tells me she's never seen The Dark Knight. I'm like, well, then fuck Marvel. Like, let's go, back to my hotel. We'll watch The Dark Knight. Innocent, right? Like, we're not doing shit. We're in a hotel room, blah blah blah. But we're just watching a film. Her phone rings and it's her dad, and he calls her and he's like, "Hey, I got a call from the car company. They're saying that your car has been stolen." She goes, "What? What the fuck? My car's
What?
been stolen or whatever." Apparently, he had a GPS tracker on her phone, and then when we walked out of the room to check on her car, he was standing right outside the door. Yeah, so he checks her phone. He sees that she's at a hotel, and he knows that she's with me, right? So he's checking on his daughter to see where she is, and oh, she's with some dude at a hotel right by her house.
Oh
And so
my
he
God.
freaks out. He tells her that the car is stolen to try to get her out of the room because he doesn't know what room she's in. We walk out of the room, we take 2 steps, and he's standing right there. And I'm like, oh shit, this looks horrible. This looks so bad. Like, bear in mind, people, like, I'm Egyptian and she was Egyptian, and like the culture is different. You don't, there's no premarital sex in Egypt. I mean, at least
Yeah.
it's highly, highly uncommon. So her like conservative Egyptian dad was like, "The fuck is going on here?" And my balls jumped back up, like I was terrified. And she was like,
They jump
"Daddy,
back into
no."
your
She's like, "Daddy,
into
no,
your
nothing
abdomen.
happened." And it was like, "Oh shit, this is how I die. This is how I go. Like he's gonna kill me."
So, situations like that, I have difficulty playing them out because I would have already thought of what the person is thinking of, and then I would feel the need to basically, you know, end it before it gets any further. Like, hey, nothing happened. But then people will say that, oh, that's your guilty conscious
It's
acting,
not the
right?
guilty conscience, right, dude? You catch your daughter coming out of a hotel room with a dude,
Oh,
and
of
they're gonna say
course.
nothing happened. Yeah, nothing happened because I was born yesterday. And he just some things, even sometimes the truth is just isn't believable.
Yeah.
Anyway, that
No,
was
no, no,
maybe
no,
the
no, no. No, part of me wants to stay on this. So, how did you get out of it? Because I'm sure people want to know.
I don't recall. I know he was in his car and he had the door open and he saw us, and I think we both freaked out. But I think for him it just shocked him so much that he didn't know how to react. He didn't even pick her up. Like they got into it verbally. I just sort of like stood there like a dumb piece of shit, and
That was what you were
then
supposed to do.
I mean I didn't know what to do. I had no clue what to say. I had no clue how to act. He basically gets upset with her. He gets in his car and he drives off. He leaves her. He leaves her. He doesn't. He's not like come with me or whatever. Like he just leaves. He's that upset. She was like, I have to go. I'm like, of course. Like I go. Like what am I? Yeah, I get it. She gets in her car and she leaves, and I'm all like, well, I guess there's no reason to spend the night. I check out and I drive back to Ventura. And like the entire drive, I'm like, oh fuck, just happened. Like, why did he even like? Oh, your car was stolen. Like, called me. Like, he's sneaky. He's clever too. Like, it wasn't. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that was some Dark Knight shit.
Yeah, like he caught her. And, I don't know. And then she obviously didn't know that her phone had a GPS tracker that he put on there, and it was just a
And he just
nightmare.
fucked up. He just fucked up over.
Wait, how did he fuck up? I don't understand.
No, 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 no. Because, okay, so he caught her, but the cost of catching her in a lie was that she had to figure out how he figured out where she was, and then she
Right, right.
found that she had a
Yeah,
GPS
but
tracker. So next time she'll be way smarter.
yeah, but next time she's way smarter, but he avoided the first disaster, well, or first assumed disaster, right?
I mean, did he? No, wait, wait. No, he did.
I
I mean,
said
he did.
assumed. I said assumed
He's
disaster.
though they assumed. Okay, they assumed,
Yeah, yeah.
but nothing was going on. So the next
We
time
were
she
literally,
no. So what I'm saying is that, of course, I mean, I'm not. If she ever watches this, I'm not saying you are, but I'm saying if she wanted to whore around in the future, now she's smarter, right? Because he
yeah, but
inadvertently revealed his secret. He
right.
had
But here's the
something
thing:
tracking her on his
if he,
phone,
so you would just
on
keep the
her phone.
secrets for the future, even though that the current present might be doing something that you're perceiving as detrimental. Like, think about it
Well,
this way: you have to show your
they
hand
did
at
that
this
in
point.
World War II, bro, with the
Yeah,
U-boats.
right, right, right. I don't know. I think yeah, but here's like the cost outweighing the thing. It's like his daughter and stuff, and I don't know, man. It was
Uh,
Christmas too, so it was like right before Christmas, and I knew she was gonna spend it with her family, so we tried to meet up before to like exchange gifts and shit. So it's like that ruined Christmas. It ruined the Dark Knight, and yeah, I didn't watch the Dark Knight since then until this review, and I had to like rewatch it. I was like,
wow.
when I got to the point where he called her, I was like, I remember pausing here. I remember this scene. Like,
So what scene was it again? I'm sorry, you probably mentioned it, but
it was about an hour in. I don't recall exactly which one. I'd have to like open up the phone and remember it. Yeah, it's
okay.
crazy. It's
So yeah,
crazy.
you probably played in the background when you go back and edit this. Just
Yeah, yeah. I'll play the scene for everybody just so that you can see at what point I started hating the Dark Knight. Like,
we must remember that vigilance is the price of safety.
Stand by. Honor, guard, attach. Hook, hard, hard. Ready? Aim. Fire. Ready? Aim. Ready? Aim.
But ultimately, back to the movie. It's a movie where you could actually make like maybe a 5-minute review because
I think
they did
because
most
we're
things
not,
right.
they did most things right, and most people love it, and all we're gonna do is sing its praises. So, I mean, wait till we get to The Dark Knight Rises, then we'll have a
Oh,
conversation.
oh no, yeah, I'm going to shit on that movie. This is foreshadowing. Yeah, like I was so disappointed.
Speaking of foreshadowing, I really liked Dent's. Uh, you either die a hero, live long enough to see yourself become the villain. It foreshadowed his fate, obviously, because he became Two-Face, right?
There was a lot of
And,
foreshadowing in that
right,
movie.
but then it also foreshadowed Batman. Even though he didn't become the villain, he did become the villain. You know what I mean? Because he
Yeah.
had to assume the role of the killer so that to save the image of Harvey. So I don't know. It's like it's poetic because like Harvey was the killer, but he gets to die as the hero, right?
Yeah.
And then Batman, who is the hero, gets to live long enough to see himself become the villain.
Yeah, I mean, of course, he repeated that before he, you know,
That's
dude,
he's a
check this.
Nolan's a fan of repetition in the films, especially in the first Batman. Why do we fall lost away? To learn to pick ourselves up. Like that was repeated like 13 million times. You know
And
what I
and
mean?
this is where I say, and this is an example where I say, or where I said that, it was bordering on cheese, but it was done so well. Like the ending with the score. See, every scene in the movie, it was like the score fit perfectly. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
dude, when Gary Oldman, oh sorry, let me not call him Gary Oldman, Commissioner Gordon,
He
when
wasn't
he
commissioner until halfway through the film.
Yeah, I'm talking about when he was already commissioner at the
Oh,
end.
my bad.
Like when Batman was running and the score just
Right,
like
right, right.
goes in like in overdrive and then his
Nailed
son
it.
is like, I mean, why is he running? And then he
See,
starts
this
his
is what
little when he
upsets me.
starts
This is what
yeah, when he
upsets
st
me. Oh, sorry. Keep go. I'm interrupting. Go ahead.
and when he starts talking to his son like repeating and then they're cutting to Batman running away and with the police force right after him and whatever. Dude, every time I see that scene, I mean, I don't know. I don't think I'm that tough. In reality, I don't usually cry as much, but
As
tears, it's like a
much, you
freaking
never
Disney
cry.
movie. Tears just, start building at the back of my eyes, like, oh, here we go again. I see it coming every time, and every time he starts talking, I'm like, oh my God, this is so emotional.
See, this is what upsets me. So Hans Zimmerman, he's the one that scored this film, right?
Yes.
He did such a phenomenal job on this and such a phenomenal job on most of his films. And he said he didn't want to do more superhero films because he spent so much time doing superhero films with Nolan and the Batman trilogy. Yet they brought him on for one of the DCEU films. I forget whether it was Batman. I
Man
think it
of
was
Steel.
Batman versus. No, no, no. I think they brought him on for Batman versus Superman. And I remember
He
being
did.
in that film and I'm like, what is this whack ass music? Like, it just did not, it was jarring and clunky and it just didn't lend. Like, here's the thing. I don't think I'm not one of those people that says the score shouldn't be noticed. It should just be somewhere in the background. Because to me, if it's not noticed, you don't need it. Like that's just my philosophy. But when I notice it, it should evoke emotion, and it shouldn't. I should notice it, and it should lend to the film and add to the film, but it shouldn't distract from the film. And I'm watching that film, and obviously, here we go again, reviewing films that aren't under the review title right now. But that film, like, I remember listening to it, I'm like, all I can focus on is the music because you just disconnected me from everything else that's going on. And just like, how did he get so good at this stuff and then fuck up that one so much? I don't know.
Dude, I don't know if this is what's going to happen with the new Batman, but I hope and pray that we get a Batman that is scored by Trent Reznor and I'm probably going to mispronounce this other guy's name. Is it Atticus Ross or whatever?
I
Those
don't know them.
guys, for some reason, the guys that did Gone Girl, they've done something else
Haven't
recently.
seen Gone Girl.
It's it's a cool movie. It's just a mind it's a mind fuck. But ultimately the work they do on, oh yeah, they scored the Watchmen series. If you haven't seen
I
that,
ain't seen the series.
please watch it.
All
Please
right,
watch it.
you heard
I
it now, guys. The next thing to be reviewed will be the Watchmen series.
okay.
no,
No, no, because
no,
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 see,
no.
no,
I don't
because
have the time to go through a series right now. Like, I got to
yeah,
readjust a few things. Like, getting a movie, yeah, I can watch a movie, but to review like how many episodes? It's HBO, so I'm assuming it's like
it's
10
no,
to 12
it's a
episodes.
limited. Oh, it's a one season limited series
Also, it's like a
thing.
mini
So,
series.
dude, I was hesitant to watch it because I love the Watchmen novel, graphic novel. I love the movie,
Did you see
even
the
though
Snyder film?
people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved it because I
Which
felt
cut
like
though? Because he had like three
I've
cuts.
watched I watched it in the theaters. I watched it
Okay.
on HBO. So I think I've watched the
Because
whatever number of
what
cuts.
Snyder did was he did the theatrical cut, which was released in cinemas. Then he did
Yeah.
a director's cut. Then he did something called the ultimate cut, where he patched in like an animated movie in the middle of it.
Oh yeah, I watched that. Yeah.
Ugh, what was
I've
that?
forgotten
Like,
what it was big, it was part of the graphic novel. So
yeah,
in the
but
graphic
it was
novel there's a
I didn't
guy, there's a
follow.
novel, it was a novel within the novel. But
Yeah, like
it didn't work. It
if
didn't
you're
work.
gonna rewatch The Watchmen or something, I recommend the director's cut, not the ultimate cut. Watch it without that animated thing. I don't know, just my opinion. It didn't.
Yeah, it didn't add to it in any sense. But
And he makes
Snyder
some
did.
fucking long ass films too.
Who, Snyder?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if that's intentional because his remember that his famous movies, the two, Watchmen and 300, they were graphic novels.
Hmm.
So for him to stay true to what I mean to the material, I think that he probably tried to put in as much as possible. People complain about that,
Remember?
especially with Watchmen. Although, wait a minute. Okay, let's just let it flow then. I was going to say we're doing it again. We're
Yeah,
talking
we're doing
about
it again, but I have to say it. So he did Batman versus Superman, right? And
yeah,
I watched the extended cut, and I think it had like
yeah.
17 extra minutes or 30 extra minutes of something. And I remember one of the issues I had with Batman versus Superman is like they didn't, some things felt undercooked. I was like, oh, it was 30 extra minutes. Surely he cooks this shit. And then I rewatched it. I'm like, where did those 30 minutes go? It was just all fluff. It was all fluff. And then I Googled it, and like some thread had showed you the difference between the theatrical cut and the extended cut or whatever. And it was just fluff. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm glad that didn't leave the edit. Like it ended up on the editing room floor, and the theatrical cut was what it was. So I don't know, man.
Okay, here I am going to defend the movie I love. Dude, there is not there's not much that Snyder could have done with because see,
Yeah.
people compare, what Batman versus Superman was supposed to do for Justice League to what Marvel did. Marvel had how many movies before they went into, let me finish.
No, fair. Okay.
Don't Kanye me.
I was going to make you famous, bitch.
But hey, um that was just the problem. I mean, there was all this pressure on Snyder. They wanted to get things going with Justice League to compete. And there's only so much that he could have done with that
Okay.
story.
Okay. Here's the thing. I
How
could
do you
talk
cut?
about this film. I could talk about Batman versus Superman for a good hour. And like honestly, like I wanted after The Dark Knight Rises to review
Yeah,
something
let's
that
do it.
wasn't a superhero film. But
L-
after The Dark Knight Rises, let's do Batman versus Superman.
Yeah, let's do it. We don't even need to watch Man of Steel. Let's just go right
I
into it.
I wasn't gonna watch Man of Steel. Don't worry about
Yeah, yeah, so, dude, because, well, yeah, I'll I'll
Save
bring
it.
it.
Yeah.
I'll bring it.
I'll bring it too. I'll bring it too. I thoroughly under appreciate. I don't know. I thoroughly. I didn't like the film. Okay, like I walked out of the theater just like, ugh, what the fuck was that?
Mm.
It was just.
I
Ugh.
mean, what were you expecting? Like two of them to just start fucking fighting from the beginning. Like I'm Batman,
No,
I'm Superman, I'm.
no, no, no. You know what? Let's save it. Let's fucking save it. Like,
Yeah,
let's
fuck it.
learn to
Let's
save
save
it.
it. Let's get back to The Dark Knight. Great movie.
Great
Not
movie.
much else to say. Great fucking score.
Great everything. Honestly, like if he removed a couple of those circular shots, I don't think I have anything negative to say about the film. I don't. The circular shots that made me dizzy and Harvey's if you want to kill a public servant by American. Take that line out, take away the circular shots, and that film is a solid 120%. You know, it's as good as I don't think it could have been better.
Yeah, even with Batman's cancer voice, it was still good.
Yeah, he put it on heavy right from the get-go in that film.
And Bruce and Bill looked more like Batman. Although
Bill?
he looked, sorry?
Bill who?
Did I say Bill?
Yeah.
No, I say Christian Bale.
Bale. Oh,
Bale.
okay.
Oh, sorry, Bill. Yeah, he looked more like Batman or more like he looked more believable as Batman in
You're
this
trying to
movie to
say
me
he looked
compared
more
to
Batman than Bruce, is what you're saying.
no, as in both Bruce Wayne and Batman. He looked more believable as both in this movie compared to at least that was just my perception. When I saw Batman Begins, it was like, okay. But in this one, I think he dropped, I don't know. He just appeared more believable in both roles as the billionaire playboy or billionaire orphan
I don't think he
and as
changed much.
Batman.
Maybe he just grew on you.
I could well he had shit, now am I gonna be fat shaming? I mean it
I
seemed
shame
like
away, buddy.
no, it seemed like he was a little rounder or he had a little more
When? In which
a
film?
few pounds in what do you call it? Batman Begins, and I'm sure it wasn't fat. It wasn't fat. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't
Dude, if
fat. I'm saying
anything,
like
you
it was
want
muscle.
him. If anything, you
Muscle.
want him bulkier. Like my issue with him is he looks scrawny. He looked like I don't know the way I would picture Spider-Man.
It made sense with his new costume because in the first movie, remember how even when he had the costume on, it seemed like everything was just kind of squashed. Like you could see, go watch it again. Like you could see like the folds.
I'll link a picture now so people can see the difference between Batman Begins and The Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
The Dark Knight. My bad.
But I'm just saying he
Oh,
seemed
guys, if
more
I get super
believable.
lazy and I don't actually edit all these scenes into the video, feel free to hate on me in the comments. So,
Yeah, just hate on NASA anytime. You know, when you feel good, when you feel bad, whatever.
I mean, if you
Just
don't, Akeen will. So, regardless, it's just his charm.
no, I just do it to keep you in check. That's all. Keep you on your toes. But hey, I guess that's pretty much it, right? About the movie. So we're going to move on to The Dark Knight Rises after this.
And then Batman versus Superman. And then after that,
Yay!
we promise we'll divert something out of the superhero slash DC realm and discuss some other films that we. I was thinking maybe 1917. We could talk about that.
Oh, dude. Okay, yeah, we saw that together, right? Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
oh man. What do see? If
No, don't discuss it now.
no, 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 no. No, I'm saying I think we both need to go take some film courses so that we can describe like we can describe these movies
Yeah, see, yes and
like
no. Yes and no.
like educated people. Like when I mean educated as in,
I get what you
movie
mean.
educated or film educated.
I yes and no. Sometimes when you take those classes, you start reading into shit you don't want to read into. And
Like,
I've noticed,
look at the color grade.
or look at the
The
use of the camera
temperature.
work doing this and that, and I'm like, sometimes I'm like, did the director intentionally do this to send a message, or am I just being a pretentious douche, just going, oh, look at the fancy schmancy blah 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 effect, and it's just like, oh, it was an accident. Like you see that classic meme, like the author's intentions where the curtain was blue because it was fucking blue. And then it's like a literature student's like, the blue describes the sorrow and the melancholy in the character's emotions, and that's why the author decided to make the curtains blue to reflect this. And like I don't want to be that.
Dude, that'd be crazy if we ever get to that point and then we can look back at our humble beginnings and be
Dude,
like,
you'd stop enjoying films. You'd stop. It's like being a magician and knowing what's happening. The
oh yeah,
thrill is gone. The excitement's gone. You'll start critiquing it more as a filmmaker than as a fan of film. Like right now,
yeah.
we're just two dudes who love fucking films. We love a good story, and the minute you become a filmmaker, it just becomes a job. I don't know.
Yeah, for me, more than anything, I mean, I love a good story, but I
Yeah.
realized why I don't like certain movies. I realized that if the if the if the actors are not emoting like I think they should, of course, it's different people have their interpretations of, certain characters or, certain scenes or whatever. But if they don't act like I think normal people should, or people should, what I think people should, or how I think people should act in those universes that have been created, then I just disconnect from the movies. And that's one issue that I have with Lynch's movies, David Lynch's movies, because they seem so surreal. I know we're talking about a different director, but they're so surreal. People don't respond like regular people. They seem almost like they're in a dream state from the beginning to the end. So it just throws me off. But
Hmm.
that's something that I always look out for in movies. So something like The Dark Knight, like everyone brought their A game when it came to acting, except for that freaking dude in the freaking courtroom with, I'm the brains of the organization. So
I
just
was like, that was funny. Oh man. Dude, I am sweating, and now it's like it's not that hot in this room, and I think I might have the Rona. This might, I mean, this podcast may die after episode 2. I might be the coughing and now the sweating. If I have a fever, it's just gonna end bad, buddy. It was
but
good
hey,
knowing you.
bro, Heath Ledger died after, The Dark Knight Rises,
Yeah. So
and
basically, you're
that's
saying is I achieved
I'm
something in this
saying
podcast in these 2 episodes. This is.
I'm saying this is going to be your Dark Knight Rises if you have the Rona.
It's like if
In
you
other
have
words,
the
I'm saying
Rona, ladies and gentlemen, Akeem will be covering the entire screen in the next episode.
the only thing I'm asking is make sure YouTube knows to forward the checks to me.
Right. The non-existent checks? Sure thing, buddy.
I'm kidding, bro. You're not gonna die, and if please don't die.
Oh, that was sweet. Really, really. I felt
Fuck
it right here.
off.
Right in the meow meow, buddy.
Wait, wait, bro. The meow meow is actually a
It's
woman's, a
no, 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 no,
woman's.
no. It's a meme where the cat is like crying and it's like it puts his hand like right on its chest. It's like hurts right in the meow meow.
Sorry, I thought of something totally different. Guess my mind is in the gutter.
Yeah,
I imagined
as
you with
opposed
the
to the
meow
time where
meow.
it's not in the gutter. Like when was it outside the gutter? You come on now.
My home is the gutter. I'm like always swimming in the gutter, taking laps.
Okay, no comment.
I guess we should sign off right now, huh?
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Tune in for the next episode. Like, share, subscribe, all that bullshit YouTubers tell you. So, and if you
Yeah.
listen to just the audio and not the YouTube version of this, ignore those requests. Like I forgot, like we're gonna release this on things other than YouTube, man. We'll get better at this. We'll learn. I promise. Well, no guarantees, but I promise we'll try to learn. Good enough? I'm just going to sign off because he's going to do nothing but laugh at me. Thanks, guys.